so here's a question, right? This one is a little bit more basic. So what would your definition of a good shot be?
Okay, so I think um, read. I think it really comes down to the photographer, like what. Because if you really think about photography, it's a language. Like you're trying to communicate something to somebody, and a good picture to me is if you're able to successfully communicate what it is that you want to. So I think it really it depends on the photographer and his audience and what is the conversation that they're trying to have and whether this picture does that conversation justice. Um, I think, yeah, that's really what makes a good picture generally. I mean, for me, obviously with my style and what I try and portray, a good picture for me is one that again hits those three elements. And I think really, if we want to talk about picture, what makes a good picture, it's where you've really flexed this visual language very well. Like you composed the shot, you've used the lighting, you've colored it, you've used minimal effects effectively in a way that really helps you get a nice visual picture across and has the added benefit of informing and provoking thought. So yeah, kind of two answers. I think there's one is like on a individual level, like what for a cameraman, sorry, or photographer and his audience, a good picture can convey a good message. Whereas for me, it's because I really lean on that storytelling side of photography. That's where I would place my criteria for a good and successful picture, one that can really convey a nice image effectively. A nice story, sorry, yeah.
That's fair. With
Yeah.
those two sides that you said, right?
Mhm.
Do you ever focus on one more than the other, or do you ever like try and balance them out? Is that kind of a tough task that you try and put when you're trying to make these pictures or shots?
Yeah, so in terms of with the two sides, you mean between the conversation between me and the audience, or like my passion for storytelling versus this need to communicate effectively?
So I would say the community, you communicate, and the storytelling.
Ah,
So,
okay,
well,
yeah.
it kind of links in a sense, but that's basically where I'm coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to exhibitions and like putting together a body of work, like for a book or for various like end kind of products where the main reason why you're doing it is because you have an audience that you want to talk to, then I think that's when I will lean on the communication. Okay, these are great pictures, but how do they relate? What is the theme? How do I package it into a way that can be communicated effectively and feasibly? Like some of the things I've wanted to do, financially there's no
Oh,
way
no.
like that's more of just me dreaming really big, but that's the thing. So it's also interesting in playing that and how do you with your resources exhibit and get your work out to people. So I think when it's that kind of like, okay, there's a clear body of work that I'm working on here, communication plays a big role. But sometimes if I'm going for a photo walk, if I'm just going out, like recently I went to the Middle East for my mom's 50th. And like, I was walking around with my camera, just documenting things and just trying to really pull out the stories from the places that I was, like fully focused on storytelling, nothing to do with communicating to audience, because that wasn't the end goal. These were visual diaries and almost practice for myself. So yeah, when I'm just doing stuff for myself and playing, I think that's when I'm really focusing on the art of storytelling. Whereas when I'm focusing on something that has an audience specifically, then I might tailor it more to, okay, how do you communicate effectively? Because there's no point in doing a great piece of work if nobody gets it. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
unless that's you just want to keep it in your pocket and keep moving. But if you want people to take it in, you need to think about how are they going to consume it and can they consume it in the way you present it to them.
I
Yeah.
respect that. That even you even touched up on one of my questions as well. And well, you answered a bit of one of my questions. So I was going to ask you what the difference between setting up for an exhibition and just taking pictures are. But you've answered some
Yeah.
of it. So here's a little spin on it. How
Okay.
would you, let's say, set up for an exhibition? and how would
Yeah.
you set up for taking a picture for yourself?
Okay. So in terms, if I'm, it's hard because sometimes exhibition. Hmm, I guess if I'm just doing a thing for myself versus exhibition. So with the exhibition, I guess I would kind of go into it with a bit more of a mandate, like what am I trying to achieve, because there's an exhibition or end goal here. Um, and also, like, because the exhibition is physical, you have to also maybe consider the physical element of how, like, when you're capturing these pictures, how you're going to print it, where you're going to print it. For example, the images I took, they were talking about in Port Harcourt with the children and running in the sand. Like for me, as soon as I was shooting, I knew that I just wanted there's a great collage here, because the sand is very unidentifiable. So you can link a bunch of images easily and create sort of a collage effect. And that's, again, taking it to the exhibition side of, how will this look physically when people come to see it, versus a personal project. It's how it's set up is research, really. I would do a bit of research before to understand what it is that I'm curious about trying to understand and explore. And sometimes I might just shoot, like I'll just see what happens and see what speaks to me within it. It's a bit less planned than if I have like a body of work that I kind of know I want to take into an exhibition, because yeah, within that personal project, there's more parameters for me to just try and see what happens. It's, for me, it's personal. It's more of art, and even with making art, there's beauty in the mistakes as well and the imperfections, which I think I have more room to do when I'm doing something personally. Whereas I'm thinking more exhibition, more body of work, or even for a client or something like that, then there needs to be more planning and thinking of the end goal as you're shooting, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question?
No, that answers my question actually. You
Yeah.
told me the difference between the two. So I want to focus more on the exhibition side. So when you
Yeah.
have a topic, do you try and focus solely on that topic, or do you have a lot of breathing room or wiggle room, or try something different or something not too close to that topic, if that makes sense?
Yes, I think, okay. So I think for starters, let me just say that with exhibitions, it can vary. For example, the majority of exhibitions I've done have actually been like exhibitions I've done on my own, in terms of I've done everything from securing the venue to the promotion to the actual work, to yeah, just running the exhibition and curating it. So when it comes to those kind of things, I guess obviously I have the full freedom to do and as I please and as I like. For me, what restricts me is the subject matter and what it is I want to focus on. So again, like protocol, I took a lot of images, but I knew within the exhibition, I wanted to talk on certain subjects like transport, hustle, the market, football, and the beach as well. So for those ones, that exhibition, it was kind of like I would select the certain images that I would need, even if I've taken some images outside of the remit. It's kind of like the post production, or like after you've taken it, that you can now sit down and think about how do you curate the things that you have, or the images you have to portray this message or the story you want to portray. When it comes to exhibitions I'm doing myself, then I have the creative remit. Whereas if it's an open call, or something that someone is curating and they approach me, to either create work or past work. When it's past work, then I mean it's already done. So it's just a case of does whatever or do I have something that kind of fits the open call or the exhibition and what it is they're trying to do. Like I did one recently for a Black charity ball, and I exhibited some work that explored, emotions of people, and the fact that people are not in a stationary state of emotions, that you can fluctuate between being happy in the morning, sad in the afternoon, and then, you know, just bored in the evening. Like those emotions kind of float and are a bit more fluid than we really see it when we see people. You see people, you kind of just expect this person to be the same person that they are all the time, but they vary. And so for that call, I had already, no, actually for that one, I'd created the work off the back of the fact that they wanted to promote, you know, or they wanted to talk on some narratives that weren't really spoken about within the Black community. And at the time, you know, mental health and emotion, and recently, you know, something that a lot of people have been trying to understand and grapple. So that for me was like, okay, this is what you're trying to do. And I guess, yeah, you kind of speak to them and tell them how you're going to approach it. And they will kind of give you the green light, like, okay, yeah, this fits. And, you know, sometimes you'll be lucky, like with that one, they were really supportive of whatever it is I wanted to do, where some people might be a bit more strict, like, no, we, you know, this doesn't fit kind of what we're trying to do. And that's because they're the ones essentially doing the exhibition. So when it's that kind of exhibition where I'm creating work and there's less room to wiggle, then I can't wiggle. And if I feel like the fact that I can't wiggle from what they want me to do doesn't allow me to stay true to my art, then I'm at a stage where I can just say, you know, I'm not going to do it because, you know, it's just a hobby. It's something I do on the side right now. You know, eventually it might get to a case where you just have to do it because you're trying to get more jobs and get more commissions. But for now, yeah, I think, so I guess really, I haven't really had much issue because I'm being very selective in terms of what I do. And I only do things where I have enough flexibility to wiggle where I need to. And sometimes I work on my own projects. Majority of the stuff I exhibit actually has been my own projects. So there, I have the full creative freedom to do what I want, if that makes sense. So it's, and I think just to kind of clarify, like an exhibition is kind of like, it's like the product, or it's like the tangible aspect of a body of work. When you're kind of thinking of a body of work, for example, if you want to do a bunch of portraits, like I've done recently, some portraits just with people using masks and stuff to kind of replicate masquerades, but in a more contemporary way. That as a body of work, you know, if you're thinking, okay, you want to exhibit or you want to put it in a magazine or you want to do this with it, you can kind of consider that while you're really creating the full body of work. But it's at that point of when you're creating your body of work that you will decide like where you want to take these images and this project. And so sometimes you kind of do the body of work and it's only later when someone approaches you to exhibit it or you feel like you can exhibit it. And in that case, so it's already kind of decided, the subject matter is decided, your message is decided. So it's really more about the I guess the initial phase of when you're creating a body of work. You know, when you think about what is the end goal, that's when you will have to decide whether that end goal gives you enough room to wiggle or not, if that makes sense. It's not the exhibition itself, it's more like when you're putting something together and thinking about where you want it to go. Does that place that you want it to go, you know, does it allow you to wiggle? The purpose of what you're doing, does the purpose of what you're doing allow you to wiggle? I think, yeah, I've been fortunate enough that I've been able to do majority of what I want so far. But yeah, I think it's really at that initial stage of creating something that you have to determine whether you can flex or not. You just have to stick to what it is specifically that is required in order to achieve this end goal. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's really interesting that you say that because I was gonna, from how I was picturing it, it's like your body of work is your CV, and then the exhibitions are basically your job interviews to get like a temporary job, if that makes sense. Does that relate?
No, so I'd say exhibitions are more like it's like a concert almost, like obviously not a WizKid concert or anything like that, but it's where you showcase your stuff. It's where, you know, you can really reach the audience or the intended audience in a tangible way. So, you know, that's the platform. An exhibition is the platform. It can also be, part of your medium in terms of how you create the exhibition, how you display things, where you display things. That can actually be a piece of fabric that you can use in your storytelling and you're communicating with the audience. The actual, construction of the exhibition can be used to communicate things. But really and truly, for me at least, I see the exhibition more as, it's like a show. It's where I want to engage with an audience, a specific audience, and I want to engage with them physically, not through Instagram, not through, looking at stuff on your screens. I want people to come out and engage in my work, and I want to see their reaction. I want to discuss with them, and hopefully to some extent I want to entertain, inform again, and provoke some thought. So that's what the exhibition is really. It's more the platform, whereas the body of work is the projects itself, or the let's say the purpose of what you're doing. So for example, my street photography and a glimpse of Lagos, a glimpse of Portugal, it kind of fits into what I would call a glimpse of a continent as the overarching body of work. And for me, it's just different projects, different things, different research, everything that comes in together to address what it is that you want to address with this specific piece of work. And body of work is just a collation, a summation of all those different things that come together to address whatever this project is supposed to address. So it's kind of like, it's the work and putting things together. And when you have a body of work, then it's now about how do you, what do you want to do? Did you want to get it to an audience? Okay, then exhibition is one way, social media is another way. If you don't want it, if it's for you, it's just personal, then you don't have to worry about that kind of platform to get it out. But an exhibition for me is the platform and where you get things out. And I think for me in particular, and the kind of artist and photographer I am, because I'm very people orientated, not just in what I capture, but also how I want to engage with people through my work. So for me, an exhibition is why I really strive for exhibitions, because that's when I can see you and how you react to my work. I can talk to you live about what you think about my work. I can get this sense of entertainment, this sense of whether you've been informed and whether you have any thoughts after that. I can get that live and direct to exhibition. So that's why it's my favorite, let's say, platform, but it's not the body of work. The exhibition is just how I get it out there, and my preferred choice of getting it out there, because it's tangible. And I like that. Yeah. Does that clear it up a bit more?
Sorry?
Yeah. Does that clear it up a bit more in
that
terms
clears
of
up a lot.
the difference between...
It's more of here the projects here, and here's how I show you my projects. Here's the platform. I love both of those analogies, because that makes more sense to me. It's not like a job. It's no, this is me, if that makes sense, or this is what I'm trying to show. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Because some people you might do. So I was gonna say, you might do a project that they want to disseminate in magazines, they want to disseminate on social media, like the stuff I've done for Notting Hill Carnival and Afro Nation. Like the end goal there was for media, for social media, for magazines and things like that. So, and if you want to look at it, that's quote unquote the body of work, is the taking of the photos and what photos you take, and the platform is not an exhibition, it's magazines and media. So that's the same way an exhibition is, it's not the images, it's not collating the images, it's just the platform. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you one question related to that, actually. So I love how you said that you like exhibitions and seeing how people react to your work. So would you rather have, let's say, 5,000 people in an exhibition see your work and react to it? Or would you rather hear 500,000 people react to it online, on social media, basically?
Ooh, that's a tough one, because because obviously on social media you can still get a sense of people's reaction. Obviously it's not the same, because what is it like I can like anything and everything that comes across, and what is a comment, like it's there's no work. But I think I would definitely go with the 5,000 people at exhibition, because I think that's where the work can really go further, because two things. One is if it's an exhibition, I'm probably gonna have to work harder in terms of, how do I create this exhibition? How do I create a physical, tangible journey and way of people to consume what it is I want to present, because they're coming out to the exhibition. And also even that fact that people are coming out of their house and
That's
if,
true.
England sometimes it's cold, so people are coming out in the cold. So you
Yeah.
have more pressure for you to think about, okay, how do I make this really an experience and a good piece of work and a good piece of storytelling? I think I love being pushed in that way, and I think that's where my work will do the most, will have the best impact, really, and really in terms of what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to get across. I think an exhibition does that better because it's almost like a kind of like an agreement or some sort of pact between you and the audience that, okay, you come out of your house, you come and experience what it is that I'm going to talk about and view these stories and take in this information that I want to get. By you coming out, I'm going to also make sure that I do my due diligence and do the best I can. And that kind of relationship and that bond, I think with 5,000 people for me means more than 500,000 people liking or reposting a picture, because I think it's very easy for why I'm doing it to get lost in that. And I think, yeah, definitely online and social media as well, like you're constantly bombarded with visuals and things like that. So it's not even isolated in a way that people can really interact with the work properly. Whereas exhibition, that's it. The only thing you're going to see from now on is something within the exhibition. It's not social media where you can look at it now and then, close Instagram and open Twitter and start looking at other stuff. They're not working, and it's I think it's harder, or it's not harder, but it's not why I want to convey my message for you to just consume quickly and move on. I want to really get engaged and go into depth and have a conversation, a dialogue about what it is, the subject, or what the subject matter is.
I love that answer because you're right about social media. Like, there's a lot of times where I see an article, even when you see a long essay or passage, you're like, no, I'm not even going to read that. That's too long. So I get that, because you want your people, it seems like you want the audience to just experience the picture. Just take time, appreciate it, rather than just go, ooh, that's cool, that's really cool, that's really nice stuff. Right, I'm gone. Like, what I mean? So I get that. That makes sense.
I appreciate it.